Hello and welcome back to the Red Dwarf audio only My Thoughts podcast thing. Our final episode for now, unfortunately, because Red Dwarf Series 11 only has 6 episodes. So I managed to watch the episode, so I'm going to give you my thoughts on it. Obviously, spoilers ahead. If you've seen the last 5, you should know that. Can of Worms. I think this is a contender for best episode of the season. And I'll go into why in a minute. I'm going to start by explaining the plot of the episode. Basically, in the episode, Cat meets a female Felis sapien who turns out to have a secret. Now, you as well as I knew if you saw the plot summary on Wikipedia, you knew she was going to turn out to be like a pleasure gelf or something, because there's no way Cat would be that lucky. You would be correct. She turns out to be a polymorph, which I actually think is a brilliant idea. Normally I'm against shows doing callbacks like that out of nowhere when it could have easily been a million other things, and Red Dwarf has shown us that shapeshifters are the most common thing in the galaxy. I think it being a polymorph was a good idea, because not only did it allow for a lot of really good polymorph jokes, it's the first time we've seen the polymorph since Emohawk, and honestly, of the 3 polymorph episodes we've had so far, this is my second favorite. Emohawk is a little bit lower on the list than this episode. So basically, what happens in the episode is they find a female cat. She's a polymorph, and she lays eggs with other little polymorphs inside of the cat. So we kind of had a rehash of what I presume we would have gotten in Dad had they allowed that to happen. So I thought the episode was good. There were a lot of really good jokes. The beginning of the episode, again, I know I said spoilers. I like to make it clear when I'm going into like deep spoiler territory. The beginning of the episode, they're about to go into a section of space with Gelf vampires, and they only feed on virgins. And the cat is very scared of that, which disappointed me, because it means that the episode, The Identity Within, that was a lost episode from Series 7 that was never made due to budget, I think. I think they ran out of money to make it, and they did duck soup instead. Because the cat is a virgin, apparently, which means he never met that female cat and got his groove back, as it were. But other than that, that's kind of just me personally, because I really liked the storyboard animatic they did for The Identity Within. So it disappoints me that it's not canon anymore, but, whatever. Again, there were a lot of good jokes. They had a personality computer that could alter your personality and change and remove emotions and stuff. And I thought it was funny because they had a scene where Crichton was going about a diagnosis for Rimmer on the machine, and he goes, "Okay, I'll just circle the areas we need to do," and he circles everything. And I thought it was funny, although it again disappoints me a little bit, because it's showing Rimmer as this giant asshole when the last episode of Series 10 made it seem like he was going to be nicer. I don't know. Again, Rimmer's my favorite character. I'm a little biased. I'm happy this was a cat-centric episode. Admittedly, it ended up falling back on the other 3 to handle most of the jokes, but it gave Cat something to do in this episode other than, like, be the butt of like the Lister is stuck doing something with the cat jokes, because the cat was sort of on his own with the female cat. And they had a couple funny pregnancy jokes, and then the cat ends up saving the day, which was great because the cat definitely deserves to save the day at least once, without dancing. So I definitely thought it was a very good episode. If I had to go through a definitive ranking of this season, uh, of the episodes, which I'll do in this video because this is, of course, the finale, and following this, we will not have anything else from Red Dwarf for a while. I mean, until Series 12 comes out, whenever it happens, hopefully soon. If I had to like add up my favorite episodes, I would say Twentica is my number one favorite. Following that, Give and Take, then Can of Worms, then Crisis, then Samsara, then Officer Rimmer. And Officer Rimmer is only at the bottom because while I thought it was a good episode, it just kind of screwed over Rimmer's, it kind of screwed over Rimmer's development because it turned him back into the smeghead he was in Series 1 and Series 8, which I admit, I mean, really, if I had to think of an accurate way to describe him in that episode, and this just came to me now, he was like Frank Burns in the episode Officers Club from MASH, which is something that I doubt anyone listening to this is going to remember, because it's one of those episodes that you watch once and sort of forget about until moments like this. I've only ever seen it the one time. So anyway, back to Can of Worms. I thought the woman playing the female cat, or the polymorph female cat, was very good. She felt like a female version of the cat, which probably should have been the tip-off that she was not a real Felis sapien, because I feel like the cat is the exception rather than the rule. But yeah, the season was good. It's ending on a definite high note. And what I like about the episode is it doesn't have a sense of finality. Like, the beginning from last season had a sense of finality where if that was the last Red Dwarf episode, anything could happen next, so it was sort of weird. But this episode definitely feels like come back for the next season, we have more, which I like, because as much as I like shows giving closure, I don't want Red Dwarf to end just yet. I'm enjoying this series. I think it is after the return to form that was Series 10. I think this is definitely continuing to just barrel at the speed of light in the right direction. And I thought it was a great season overall. All the actors did well. Specifically in this episode, gave a lot of good material to Chris Barry and Danny John Jules, and the whole season overall gave very good bits to every actor, every one of the main cast, and even all the side and guest characters got stuff to do, and I thought it was brilliant, smegging brilliant. So yeah, Can of Worms was a good episode. Series 11 was a very good series, and I'm very excited for Series 12. And that's about it. So those were my thoughts on the episode Can of Worms and some closing thoughts on the series as a whole. I'm very excited for Series 12 whenever that happens. If you liked this video, or if you liked this audio-only podcast, you can check out my other videos. If you liked the audio-only podcast element and you're a fan of the ABC series Gallivant, I did something like this back in January for the second season of Gallivant. So if you like that and you want my thoughts on the second season of Gallivant, you can go check that out. And I also have a bunch of videos ranging from reviews of books. My most recent review of a book was a review of The Dispatcher, an audiobook by John Scalzi, narrated by Zachary Quinto, which is phenomenal. It was free on Audible. It is no longer free on Audible, unfortunately, but I think if I had paid for it, it would have been worth the money. And if it comes out in paperback, I'm going to buy it. And if you like Red Dwarf, I recently did a video on how to fix Series 8 of Red Dwarf, which I believe to be the most redeemable of Red Dwarf. Where Series 7 was bad, I don't think I could fix it aside from saying don't make Beyond a Joke and stuff. But I felt Series 8 had a lot of good elements that needed to be honed down. If you're interested in that, check my channel. I did the video in September or the beginning of October. It's a very fairly recent video, which is good if you like Red Dwarf. And if you don't like audiobooks or John Scalzi or Zachary Quinto or Red Dwarf, I don't know why you're watching this if you don't like Red Dwarf, but I have a whole host of other videos for you guys to go peruse, so if you're coming to the channel from these videos, go check out the rest of it. We've got a lot of cool stuff here. I say we, it's just me. So go check out the other stuff if you're so inclined to do. And if you like this and you like my other videos and want to see more, and you want to be notified of that, you can hit subscribe, or if you're already subscribed and aren't getting notified for some reason, you can hit that notification button to get notified. I don't feel like that's completely necessary. I don't get them for anyone else, but if that's something you want, it's there for you to do. And that's about all I have to say in terms of cleaning shop and stuff, and making sure that you're aware of the entire channel of videos that also happens to have these on them. So I will see you all in the next video, which will most likely not be Red Dwarf related. I might do this again for another mini-series short show, because I couldn't do this for 20 episodes, but for 6 or 10 episodes I could. So anyway, those were my thoughts on Red Dwarf Series 11, and specifically the episode Can of Worms, and I will see you in the next video. See you then. Thank you all for watching, and if you liked the video, you can hit subscribe and watch one of my other videos. My videos can be found at any of these fine sites, and if you want to help out, maybe consider supporting the show on Patreon. See you next time.